I'd now like to change gears, and I would like to welcome Dr. Thomas Joyner to speak with us. Dr. Joyner is one of the eminent voices in suicide prevention and theories of suicide really in the world, and it is a true honor to have him here. He is the Robert O. Lawton Distinguished Professor in the Department of Psychiatry at FSU in Tallahassee. His work is on psychology, neurobiology, and treatment of suicidal behavior and related conditions. He's also a consultant to NASA's Human Research Program and is the director, along with my dear friend Dr. Peter Gutierrez, of the DoD-funded Military Suicide Research Consortium, which was recently extended. Congratulations for a second 5-year phase to continue its work. Dr. Joyner.
Thank you, Caitlin. Caitlin is such a credit to the VA. It's my honor to be with you all this afternoon. I'm going to talk about things related to social exclusion, loneliness, ostracism, and the like, because these are really important leverage points, we think, to prevent suicidal behavior. I'm going to describe an incident to you, a pretty minor incident in the scheme of things, but it felt really major to the individual involved. The setting is a park, city park, nice day out, sunny, bright, a little bit breezy. Graduate student, being a conscientious fellow, decides to go study, but he's going to study in the park. So he's got his backpack, books, notebooks, no laptop. This is 1975, so just books and pencils and paper and stuff like that. Got a blanket in there too, and he goes, lays the blanket out in the park, starts to study on the blanket. Doesn't really notice it, but 2 undergrads come up nearby, start throwing the Frisbee back and forth to one another. As I mentioned, it was a breezy day, so at one point, the wind catches the Frisbee, blows it onto the graduate student's blanket. Naturally enough, graduate student stands up, gets the Frisbee, throws it back to one of the students. And as he's turning to go back to his books, he sees out of the corner of his eye, the student's going to throw the Frisbee back to him, which he does. And he catches it, and for the next 60 seconds or so, the 3 of them are just having a nice, pleasant throw of the Frisbee on a warm, bright, windy afternoon. But about 60 seconds into this, without a word and without a gesture, without any warning at all, the 2 undergrads just start throwing the Frisbee back and forth between themselves. They exclude the grad student. He's momentarily surprised, confused. He goes back to his blanket, tries to go back to his books, but he can't concentrate because he's so hurt. He can't believe it, but he is devastated by this little dose, very small, trivial in the scheme of things, dose of social exclusion. That's all it took. He spent the rest of his career, he's now a 50-some-year-old social psychologist named Kip Williams. For those of you who know the research landscape, he invented cyberball based on that experience, his personal experience. He went on to study ostracism, its effects on the brain, on the body, and he found out why on that day he felt so hurt. It's because there's a circuit, a neural circuit that we have, all of us, that's very sensitive to social rejection. And it's easily triggered, and when it gets triggered, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it not just in your feelings, but in your body. In fact, what he has demonstrated is that the brain center, it's called the anterior cingulate, that processes physical pain. If you give somebody a social rejection experience, that center lights up in the brain. It's physically painful to go through social exclusion. This is an ancient and essential part of our neurocircuitry, and it's because we're such social creatures, and ostracism costs a lot in the ancestral environment. It meant death. Coming to the same topic, but from a different angle. September of 2001. Let's focus in first on Sunday, September 9th of 2001. On that day, we lost 92 of our fellow Americans to death by suicide. It gives you a sense, incidentally, of the daily toll. It's considerable. Monday, September 10th, 2001, 98 of our fellow Americans dead by suicide. Incidentally, that increase from Sunday to Monday, that happens every week. Monday is the weekly peak, week in and week out. That's just sort of a little bit of an aside. The main point is we all know what happened the next morning, Tuesday, September 11th. And when you think about suicide, when you think about September 11th, an image might pop in your head about people jumping to their deaths from the top of the Twin Towers, which many did. Those aren't suicides. That's not what we're talking about here. Those are murders perpetrated by the guys that slammed those buildings, the criminals that slammed those buildings into those planes into those buildings. Not talking about that. I'm talking about countrywide on September 11th. How many did we lose to death by suicide? 36. The lowest number in recorded U.S. history. Because what had happened is simultaneously we had all had that trigger, not for ostracism, but for togetherness. We got pulled together as a country in the face of tragedy, and the suicide rate plummeted. It went way, way down. So the question becomes, can we find small doses of connection or engagement that we can deliver and that can serve as a suicide preventative? And the answer to that question is and the answer is yes. In fact, by far the most well-characterized treatment with suicidal death, prevention of suicidal death as an outcome, they're all interventions that have to do with caring follow-up, showing some sort of care, just human-to-human care in the vulnerable aftermath of a hospitalization or a suicidal crisis. All of them. Those are the only interventions that we have to date that have been proven in clinical trials to prevent death by suicide. No medication has done it yet, although lithium has a shot at it. No psychotherapy has done it. Cognitive behavior therapy is an effective thing for suicide attempt prevention, but not yet demonstrated as a preventative of death, only caring follow-up. As Caitlin mentioned, I direct the Military Suicide Research Consortium together with my friend and colleague Pete Gutierrez. And with these studies in mind, 3 of the 20-plus studies that we stood up in the first 5 years of the consortium had to do with caring connection, caring follow-up. And each of the 3 studies I'm going to tell you about briefly have got initial promising results coming out of them. One is a study called the Virtual Hope Box. And basically, it's sort of not a box. In the old days, it was literally a shoe box where you put hopeful things in it. And if you got into crisis, you take the box out, look through it. And often, what you'd be looking through are reminders of your connections to people, family, loved ones, friends. These days, of course, you can put the box on something like this. That's what the Virtual Hope Box is. If you Google it, by the way, it's readily available. Virtual Hope Box. It's the same idea, though. You got a little box on your phone full of reminders of connections to people that love you and that you love. Second one is a study that called the HOME study, where we're sending people trained in suicide risk detection and in safety planning out into the homes of vulnerable people with results that look extremely promising. Of course, we train those people to not only know what they're doing, but to see to their own safety in the course of their day. And then the third study that I'll reference is what we initially called the Caring Texts study. We had to change the name of that because the military didn't care for that name. Caring sounded too caring. But that's really what the study is. It's a caring text study. We changed it to the name to the Military Continuity Study. That works too, either way. But all it is the sending of texts, caring texts to people in need, reminding them of the fact that someone cares about them, and also reminding them of how to access services, more services, should they need them. These kinds of things, I think, show great potential, great hope, but also pose challenges. The challenge part is that we don't know very well how to identify somebody who's either currently lonely or who will become lonely in the coming weeks and months. We're getting better at that, but we still are not very good at it. We need to get better at it. Just for example, if you got an older man, say he's married happily, but otherwise very few connections. He's not currently lonely. Wife leaves him, wife dies. You got a suddenly very lonely man. It's a problem. It's a risk scenario. Detecting that kind of scenario is something we need to get better at. Even when you detect it, lonely, depressed people often lack motivation to take you up on offers for connection. We got to get better at learning how to motivate people to take up offers of connection in states where they're not motivated to do much of anything. We've got some studies going on that, but it's early. So those are challenges posed by this kind of leverage point that social connection provides. And those are real challenges, and we need to be clear-eyed about them and continue to face them. But on the front of the hope and of the potential, that circuit that my friend learned about in that park, that's a leverage point, and it's a really powerful leverage point, and it doesn't take much to change it. Just small doses of connection and warmth and caring do hit that lever point, and if you hit that lever point in a positive way, you have a very good chance of reducing suicide risk. So that's the hope that I want to leave you all with today. I would just close with one other finding, and it's that of all of the following factors, smoking, drinking, physical inactivity, and loneliness, of those four, pretty major killers, smoking, for instance, there's evidence, and it's pretty clear-cut, that loneliness is the number one killer. It outpaces even smoking as a risk for health problems in general, not just mental health problems. It's an extraordinarily important leverage point. We know how to leverage it. We just need to get better at identifying who we need to leverage it in and how to motivate them to accept the invitation to connect. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for inviting me.